Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mohamad Kamal Sodiqin, and today I would like to present on the topic of the roles of Islamic science in mitigating the effects of climate change towards a sustainable development. Now, for this presentation, I have divided three parts of the discussion. First, on the introduction part, and second, I will discuss on the roles of Islamic science in mitigating the effects of climate change, and third is the conclusion part. Now, for the introduction, firstly I'd like to provide the definition for the climate change. According to NASA, climate change refers to a broad range of global phenomena created predominantly by burning of fossil fuels, which add heat-trapping gases to Earth's atmosphere. These phenomena include the increased temperature trends described with the global warming, but it also encompasses changes such as the rise of sea levels, the reduce of ice mass in Greenland, Antarctica, and the Arctic, and it also reduced the amount of mountain glaciers worldwide. And it also gives effect to the shift in flower and plant blooming, and it also caused extreme weather events. And currently, the status quo is quite worrying because climate change is real and it is happening right now, and its effects are clearly visible. In 2018, the global mean temperature has recorded the increase of about 0.99 plus minus 0.123 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial baseline, and the Arctic temperature also increased exceptionally high relative to its long-term average, and many other countries experienced their warmest year on record. And next, it is acknowledged that the climate change is a threat, a global threat to our societies in the coming decades, and it potentially affects the large or diverse groups of the people in this century. The main characteristics or criteria of climate change can be seen by way of the increases in global temperature, changes in cloud over and precipitation, particularly over land, and it also cause melting of ice caps and glaciers and reduce snow covers, and also increase in ocean temperatures and ocean acidity. And due to seawater, it is because the seawater absorbs the heat and carbon dioxide from the Earth's atmosphere. And how does climate change happen? And the scientists has discovered a few reasons or the causes of climate change, and the climate scientists overwhelmingly agree that the main cause of the global warming and also climate change is due to the human activity. This is because human activities is currently generating an excess of long-lived greenhouse gases that do not dissipate in response to the temperature increases. This has result in continuing buildup of heat. And it is now clear that global warming is mostly due to man-made emissions of greenhouse gases, which consists mostly of the carbon dioxide due to the burning of fossil fuels. Besides, the removal of the natural sinks such as deforestation, oceanic pollution will increase the greenhouse effects, which causes warming of the Earth's surface, and also alters the energy transfer between atmosphere, space, land, and the oceans. Now, having discovered the causes of the climate change, we are now continuing our discussion to the effects of climate change. the warming of the Earth's atmosphere, the Earth's surface, and alters of the energy transfer between atmosphere, space, land, and the oceans, changes in wind, ocean currents, humidity, the movement of clouds will intensify the occurrence of natural disasters, which means that climate change will result to many bad things to our Earth, and also will cause health effects due to sunstroke, and also will have our skin damage, eye disease, adverse effects or immune system, and it also may cause skin cancer for some unlucky people. Now we have go to the other part of our discussion, which is mitigating the effects of climate change as one of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the United Nations has introduced 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and one of them is to have action on climate. This is highlighted under the 13th Sustainable Development Goals. And why does the United Nations highlighted climate action as one of the important things to do towards the Sustainable Development Goal? This is because climate change threatens many of humanity's biggest achievements as well as the future goals highlighted under the Sustainable Development Goals. And climate change will also become an immediate threat to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, and it also will affect the well-being of the international communities. Therefore, climate action will become, as one of the Sustainable Development Goals, will lead to the opportunity to the positive and systemic change that will ensure the resilient societies, productive economies, as well as healthy environment for present and the future generations. Now, it is the point, or the main point of our discussion, which is the roles of Islamic science in mitigating the effects of climate change. Now, the religion, as described by Skirbeck and Petziwat in 2018, has an important role in providing the technical solution as well as the insights to mitigate the climate change. And also, religion can be a powerful source of tools to prevent, to help in preserving the earth and address the problems of climate change. And this is where the Islamic science, having founded upon the Islamic principles, will have a specific concern about the nature of development. The Islamic sacred text has provided, such as the Quran and the Sunnah, have encouraged the Muslims to develop economically and socially under the principle of tanmiyah, and also it stress on the development on spiritually and morally, which is on the tazkiyah and tarbiyah principles. And the Quran has specifically described development as need to be both material as well as spiritual. And we can see there are many verses in the Quran that stress on the importance of environment and how the climate change effect should be mitigated. Now, the Islamic science has set up a few limitations to become a guidance for human action, particularly in exploiting the resources in the earth. And in this regard, the Quran has stressed that a true believer should maintain and respect the sacredness of our nature, which contains the signs of the God. This can be seen in the ayah of we stress that in the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the difference of night and day, the ships which are upon the sea, and the water which God sends from the sky, thereby reviving the earth after its death and dispersing all kinds of beasts therein, and the ordinance of the winds are signs for people who have sense. And also, according to Quran, a true believer must promote from a personal level of preservation of natural resources, which include water, seas, air, climate, and also need to refrain from the act that will damage the ecosystem. The Quran has provided that in the verse of, "O children of Adam, eat and drink, but waste not, excess by for God lovers, not the wasters." Furthermore, Islamic science perspective on ecology and climate change are based on the key concepts such as Khilafah, Tawheed, Al-Israf, Mizan, and Qadar. Khilafah explains humanity's relationship to the environment. The Quran emphasizes in several places that what is on earth and in the heavens are properties of God, and humanity's role is only to use or exploit them carefully. Now, the next concept of the Islamic science is on the concept of Tawheed, which is relevant to be used as the positive force to ecology and climate change, in the sense that the unity of creation in Islamic sacred texts confirms the oneness of God and on the interdependence of humanity and nature, which is need to be respected by the humanity. The next concept is on the al-israf, or wastefulness. This is a wider concept in Islamic science, which points that the God as the entity behind the diversity of nature, and that humans should not waste that natural produce. The next will be the concept of al-mizan, or balance. This concept is also applicable in the environmental movement and climate change problem, when there is a need to balance the exploitation of natural resources and to preserve the well-being of Earth. Meanwhile, the Quranic concept of al-qadar carries the meaning of the environmental balance, which explains that all processes of creation and growth follows the principle of balance. Now, application of all these principles, which is Khilafah, Tawheed, Al-Israf, Mizan, and Qadar, will bring positive impact in the actions to mitigate the effects of the climate change. Now, having discussed all those principles, I will conclude this discussion by saying that responding to climate change is about making choices in the face of any risk. Any course of action carries potential risk and cost, but doing nothing may pose the greater risk from climate change and its impacts that will also affect the end result of the SDGs. Next, the Islamic science principle can be used as a positive force for development in areas such as wealth creation, education, and health, peace building, as well as conflict prevention, such as related to climate change. Lastly, the spiritual and value-based principles of the Islamic science should be the pillars for the efforts in mitigating the climate change globally, which in order to achieve a plausible result for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, with that, I will conclude this presentation. Thank you.